Hello. In this video, I want to show you how to use variables in Java. So we're going to do this in a program called Chatbot. So I see that I changed the class name to Chatbot. And with these class names, the convention is to have both sets of the words start with a capital letter. So you notice the C in chat is capital, and then the B in bot is capital as well. There's no space between them. So just by those capital letters, we can kind of tell where the next word in that phrase goes. So what we're going to build in this chatbot is just a little computer program that has some information in it. Pretend like it's a little person. It's going to have an age and a weight and a favorite color and a name and all that kind of stuff. And it's able to then print that out to the user. Right? And then eventually, we'll get it to where the user can ask it questions like, what's your favorite color, all that kind of stuff, and it will respond to it. All right, so first we're going to create the data that the chatbot has. So at the top of the main method, I'm just going to make some local variables. Depending on how Java programs are set up, we don't always technically use variables. Sometimes we can call them fields. But in this case, we're definitely using a variable. It's just going to be local inside this method here. All right, so let's say that the chatbot has a name to begin with. All right, so the data type for a name is a string. So anytime that you make a new variable, there's these different parts. You say the data type, and then you name the variable. All right, I'm going to write the word name, but maybe it's age, or maybe it's height, or something like that. And then set that variable equal to whatever it is. Now, if I want to call this guy Bob, I can't just write the letters Bob here. I have to use quotes because that's the proper data type that I'm trying to fit into the string here. That's the end of the statement, so I do a semicolon. All right, so again, the parts are you declare what kind of a variable it is, what's its data type, the name of the variable, and you set it equal to whatever its value is. Again, if it's a string, you have to have these double quotes at the beginning and the end of it, and then a semicolon to end the statement. One thing to notice about the string data type is that it does have a capital S, as opposed to the next one, where if we wanted to define the age, and if we're keeping things simple, to just counting the number of years old it is, or days, or whatever you want to think, it'll just be a normal integer kind of a number. So that data type is an int. We don't actually write out integer. That's a different concept. And I'll call the variable age, and I'll set it equal to, let's say that it's, we're imagining that it's 5 units old, it's 5 days old, whatever. All right, maybe it has a GPA. We could ask what that is. So if we wanted to keep track of somebody's GPA, an int doesn't have any decimals, so we can't really do that. I'm going to decide on using a double. We could either say float or double here. I usually just use doubles. They just allow for more precision. Not that we're usually going to run into that problem. But double essentially is a number that has decimal places. So I'm just going to call that GPA equal, and then let's say it's a 3.77. Okay. Something to notice about the variables I've made so far is that I've always used lowercase letters. Right? And that's pretty much the convention. Now, if you ever have words that combine together, if you have a more complex variable name, the convention is still to start it with lowercase letters. But then once you get to that second and then third word in that phrase, then those next words, they start with a capital letter, but never the first one. And that's something called Camel Case. So we could do an example like that. How about what their favorite color is? There is a color data type, but we'll just keep things simple. So that would be a string, basically, the name of a color. And I could say color here, but I'm going to say fave color like this. I'm going to combine those names together. So notice how the F is lowercase. Start the variable names with a lowercase letter. But because I have a second word in there, I'm going to capitalize the C in color. So this is known as camel case because as you get to the next words, it's almost like there's a hump in the middle. And if I had a third word, that would be capitalized, and a fourth. But again, the first one always starts with lowercase letters. That's just a convention in coding. That's a matter of style, not syntax. So it wouldn't actually crash your code if you didn't do it that way. But it's a good convention that everybody follows. So it'd be good as you're learning to code that you follow it as well. So if I do a string fave color, I'm going to put a name of the color in here. So I need my quotes again. All right. So one thing I want to explore too is going back to this GPA here. What if I kind of forgot that it was supposed to be a double or a float, that I was going to include a decimal place? If I did something like this, which is incorrect, then this wouldn't work for me because 3.77 is in fact a floating point number. It could be converted into a double, but we're trying to shove that information, a double or a floating point number, into an int. We can't do that. We cannot shove this into that int here. A similar kind of thing would happen, and this is incorrect, but a similar problem would be if I tried to declare this as an int, but actually it's a string. It's definitely not an integer kind of a number here. But this would, if I executed it, it would give us some errors that it's incompatible types here. So Java won't even allow you to make those kind of mistakes then. So again, the GPA is a double, and fave color is a string. So that'll be good for right now. So then if I wanted to use those variables in my system.out.println statement here, I could simply reference the variables by what they're called. So if I wanted it to print its name, then I just type the word name here. This refers to the variable name. So I don't need quotes here. When I'm referencing variables themselves, it's not like I don't want it to say NAME. I want it to say BOB with a capital B there. So no quotes down here when I use the variable. It just happens to be that name variable is a string that involves quotes. So if I execute this statement here, in this code, you see that it printed Bob. Right, even though my code here says system.println name, it used whatever was inside of that variable name, and that's what it put in there. And I probably want it to explain itself a little bit more. So if I wanted to have it say my name is Bob, I could do something like this. I actually want the computer to use the letters MY space NAME. I want it to use all that, so I need quotes. And then I write my name is, ending the quotes there. And then I put a plus symbol, which is shift and then that equal sign there, to concatenate the two strings together. And so if I execute it, then I get this. And maybe you notice this, it says my name is Bob. So spaces, if you want it to show up as a space, you got to put that in your message as well. And so this will give me the phrase, my name is spelled exactly the way I told it to spell it. And then it adds on that, whatever the variable happens to be. And the term for this, again, is concatenate, when you shove two strings together.